So, you know, we talk in our world about servant leadership and the virtues of that and what that looks like. And I saw this story when it showed for the first time, and it caught my attention because of the city manager. And I told my wife, this is servant leadership in action.
Carl Alsabrook is the city manager of Royce City. Jesse Vaughn is with the city's economic development group. Carl knew Jesse's kidneys were failing, knew he was on the donor registry for years. But it wasn't until he saw Jesse walking downtown one day.
He didn't have his normal spring in his step. You know, I think God spoke to me and told me, you can help him.
Carl learned that he had the same blood type. His kidneys tested very well. Carl moved his own wedding date to donate his kidney.
I'm just a guy doing life, and so is he. And I've got two. He needs one. I only need one. So,
a very simple way to describe an event that will change lives.
We thought it'd be great to have a chance to visit with Jesse and Carl and kind of hear the story behind the story and the story beyond the story.
The doctor came on the line and said, Vaughn, I need you to know that you're in stage 5 kidney failure. I had no idea because I felt fine. I was running every day. I was playing basketball every day. I didn't feel anything. So when she said that to me, I was like, how's that possible? She said, go and see a kidney doctor immediately. That's how we got here.
You got to realize Jesse bounced around town. You never knew anything was wrong with him. Had a lot of energy. You know, ran and played basketball. I know it's hard to believe, but I don't do that. So, if anybody should be sick, it should be me.
You know, we had up earlier these virtues or character traits of servant leadership. Empathy, awareness. Both of those sort of play into this healing, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. And so it's a phenomenal thing. And when you talked to Jesse and said, hey, I'm going to help you, that was an awkward conversation. And tell us about that from your end, Carl. And then Jesse, tell us the story behind it.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of took me back to high school and going to asking somebody to a prom date because it was dead silent. I never could get an answer, and I thought that's just wild. But you know, I'd like to tell you somebody guided me back there, and actually, it's because the CDC always has leftover donuts and sausage rolls, and so I know it'll come as a shock, but I like those things. So walked down the hall and hadn't seen Jesse in 6 months in person, other than on the street, and as luck would have it, it's not luck, as faith would have it. He was walking out of the room as I was walking in, and we met in the hallway. And I think I asked him, you know, I told him I need to ask you something personal. Told him Larry had told me he was sick, and I said, you know, I'd like to help you if I can, you know, get tested for donation. And I don't think I got a response.
Yeah.
For about a week and a half, I thought I'd done something wrong. And, you know, and then finally he called me to his office, and we had our moment there.
Jesse, tell us, when he said that to you, there was a reason that there was pretty awkward silence. And
Yeah.
it ties into this spiritual part, I know, but talk about that.
So that day, we had just finished our EDC board meeting, and I paused for a minute to talk to the director, a couple minutes. Now think about that. I talked to him just for a couple minutes. Had I not, I would have been out of the building like 20 steps.
Yeah.
That wasn't normal. We just finish our meetings and we all say bye. That day I talked to him, and I walk out in the hallway and cross paths with Carl. He goes, I want to talk to you about something personal. I go, I smile, I get excited. I'm a financial advisor. People say personal, they're talking about money.
I hear you.
And they say personal, I go straight to money. Yeah, anytime. So I'm waiting for him to start this conversation about money. Yeah, he's going to bring, you know, a couple $100,000 to my branch. He goes, you know, and I know there are HIPAA laws, and I'm like, not in finance. Still didn't know where it's going, you know. And he says, you know, I hope it's not offensive, but I want to talk to you about your health. Larry shared with me that you were going through some things. And if I can help you, I'd like to donate a kidney to you. I was stooped. Because the backstory is, I've been in Roy City for, I guess at that point, about 6 years. Seen Carl around, we spoke once. Matter of fact, I've never told you this part. When I first met him, real brief, he said, I heard you're the financial advisor in town. Going through some things. When I get done, I'm going to bring some money to you. But that never happened for 5 years.
Do you forgive me?
So I'm thinking, this guy doesn't like me because he doesn't talk to me. He sees me and he never brings up the conversation about the money. Like, dude, I don't want to remind him because I know he knows. He knows what I do. And he never brought it up. So I figured, literally for 5 or 6 years, I didn't think Carl liked me at all. And so when he said that, I was like, this is strange. How can this guy be standing next to me offering me a kidney? And eventually what I realized was it was never about me. God wanted to use me to show people that he's still in the miracle business. And it just humbled me at that point. It changed my thought process. I started to realize that he chose me. Why me? How would he choose little old me, a normal, ordinary person? And it made me just look at it differently.
Yeah.
And I knew that he had aligned our paths because I got to the city in 2011. Carl was the chief. I probably never crossed paths with the chief because I'm a good guy. But when he became the city manager, it put one person between us.
Yeah.
Him and the EDC director. And so God was lining it up from day one, and I didn't realize it.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah. Not to mention Roy City, when the company asked me to go there, I'm like, no way. Not Roy City.
Yeah.
Office is going to be in a high rise in Dallas, not in Roy City. So he was already lining it up before I ever knew anything was wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, Carl, when you started getting testing and found your match, there was some interesting processes that happened that lead up to this surgery. Fill us in on that, because this is powerful stuff.
Well, they check you from the top of your head to the tip of your toes. I mean, you know you're healthy, and again, it's hard to believe, but I don't eat right, and I don't take care of myself. But it's amazing. Every test, I had no sign of plaque. I had no sign of anything wrong with my heart. Not to get gross, but the GI doctor said I had the GI tract of an 18-year-old. Incredible, and I'm 50, and again, I've haven't eaten well over the years. I like food, and so each of these tests, fascinating, very in depth. I've learned some things about doctors. When they tell you something's going to be uncomfortable, it means hurt like hell. And Jesse and I have learned that.
Yeah.
I know how to speak doctor now, but it was funny. One of the tests they give you is a 24-hour urine test. It's horrible. You have a little red container that everybody knows what it is, and you carry it in a cooler with you everywhere. And so it's like, okay, it's the red badge of honor. And so you do this for 24 hours, and you take it to the clinic, and it's embarrassing because everybody knows. I look at the fat guy with the cooler. We know what that is. So, I go through it, and they call me up about a week later and say, we got to take the test again. And I'm thinking, I'm not dumb enough to fail a P test. So, what's going on? So I took it a second time, and a couple of weeks later, they're like, you got to take it a third time. Well, I'm like, this is ridiculous. But it's the percent efficiency of your kidneys. And she said for somebody 50 years old, they need to be 96%. They've set an arbitrary survival rate at 85 years old, and they want me to live to be 85. So 96% statistically would carry me through to 85. And, when they take one kidney, that 96 should go to 48, and then the remaining kidney will grow up to 30% more. God designed kidneys wonderfully because the lone kidney will grow up to 30% more. You end up at 70% function, somewhere around there. And again, carries you through to 85 and you're ready to check out. So she said, we've never seen anything like it. We thought you'd made a mistake. My first percentage was 210%. Wow. It gets better. Second test was 220%. Third test was 230%. And the day before we checked into the hospital for surgery, it was 242%. So, when they took mine out, mine went from 242, 121, yeah. Jesse's went from 5% to theoretically over 100, and I'll let him talk about his results here. But, and that 121 for me would grow another 30%. It was obvious, and very humbling that somebody had a hand in preparing these kidneys for him, because there's no explanation for the way I've eaten and treated myself.
Well, this has obviously brought you guys together, and as friends and your families.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how this has changed the two of you. It hasn't just changed you, Jesse. It hasn't just changed you, Carl. It's changed both of you. And tell us about that.
Embarrassed to say my favorite food in the world is hot dogs, specifically chili dog. Ironically enough, Jesse's one of his favorite foods now are chili dogs. So I apologize.
That's weird.
I apologize. One of the things I've learned is to be more aware of challenges other people have. Everybody has a challenge of some sort. May not be as dramatic as this, or it could be worse. And so I've tried to, I guess my edges have been softened a little bit more to potential issues people have.
I just want to look at everybody as my fellow man and brother, sister, and regardless of race, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If God took his white kidney, put it in my black body, it works perfect. You know what I mean? So, we're all the same.
That's right.
And at a time when our country has been racially divided and tensions and demonstrations and all this stuff, it's like we're all brothers and sisters, and we came from one.
Yeah.
There's no other path. We all came. And so I just want to look at people different, and it's humbled me as a person, and it definitely has made me look at people different. Every single person. Y'all don't know me, but I love all of you, because now I know why,
What I cherish most, though, is how I've gotten to know him and the goodness in our neighbors there in town.
We talked about how this is an example of servant leadership lived out. And I think about some of Greenleaf's principles of, building community. And that really comes down to building relationships and healing, that we all seek to be whole. All of us, we want to be whole, and we have the ability to contribute to wholeness or to tear it down. And certainly we salute you and look to you as an example, a powerful example of that. Folks, let's give it up one more time for Carl Alsabrook and Jesse Vaughn.
At the end of the day, you strip away everything, money and position and the petty competitions we have amongst cities, amongst employees, and who's in the White House and who's not. You take all that away. I'm a firm believer now, especially, we were put here to take care of each other.